Hello and welcome to WTO Forum. Today's topic, how can governments and international and regional development institutions mobilize finance to ensure that trade in the developing world continues to flow even in this very difficult economic crisis that the world faces today? We're very fortunate to have with us two experts on this topic, Ganeshan Wignaraja, the principal economist at the Asian Development Bank, and Ghazi Ben Ahmed, the lead trade finance officer at the African Development Bank. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Ganeshan, let's start with you. What's the best way to move from commitment to implementation?
The Asia Pacific has prospered through trade-led growth over 5 decades, but yet we have 900 million people living at less than $1.25 a day. Our experience suggests that aid for trade as part of a coherent approach can help move those people out of poverty in the future. 3 elements seem very important if we look at strategy. The first element is regional approach backed to national strategy. This seems very, very important to ensure sustainability. A second element is investment in economic corridors to ensure sustainability of the benefits throughout a regional approach. And a third element is public-private sector partnerships, which enable the different actors to come together as part of an overall approach. Of course, political will as well as donor coordination are also critical ingredients in ensuring success of aid for trade projects when one moves to the implementation phase. Let me give you one example from the Greater Mekong Sub-Region program that spans 6 countries in Southeast Asia. In 1997, it took 4 days for goods to cross one section of the North-South corridor, which traditionally links China and Thailand through Laos. Today, with a major project that the Asian Development Bank has helped along with China and Thailand, this takes 3 hours. And in that single province in Laos, which this highway passes through, the per capita income is doubled. So aid for trade can work in motion if we have all these ingredients in a coherent, integrated approach. And that seems to be the most important aspect that we have to consider.
Ghazi, your experiences in Africa, are they similar or do they differ?
Well, I have to say it's pretty much similar. Trade is also very crucial for African countries, and in the last 20 to 30 years, growth has been tremendous in Africa thanks to trade. And that's why the African Development Bank is very well committed to aid for trade initiatives, and we have been very active. We have set up a working group with UNECA and the WTO to work on the agenda. We have been mainly concerned by being concrete and develop and being efficient. So we have been funding projects in infrastructures and corridors, mainly the North-South corridor, the rehabilitation of the Blantyre-Zomba Road and Nakala Road corridor, among others. These are examples, concrete examples, where the bank is proud of what has been done so far. We had also a number of projects in agriculture. This is a very important sector where the bank is very present, and we have seen the importance of agriculture with the food crisis. Another pillar which the bank, where the bank has been very active, is trade finance. In fact, we know with the crisis we had a shortage of liquidity, and this is another example where we have been really concrete and very timely and fast in trying to bring some mitigation and some solutions. Our board has approved a trade finance initiative of $1 billion for Africa. Yesterday, in the margin of the second review of Aid for Trade, we had the launching event of the GTLP, the Global Trade Liquidity Program, where the bank is putting $500 million, making it the second largest contributor to the GTLP after the IFC. So we hope that this program will help maintain stabilized trade flows in Africa. I think those are very good examples where of concrete implementation.
It's clear, isn't it, Ganesh, that one of the keys to this is coherence between agencies, between donor and recipient governments, and involvement of the private sector, a kind of a global partnership, if you will.
Indeed, Keith, this is the case. In the Asia Pacific, we recognize that not one agency can do the job by itself. And so we have set up a regional technical group to try to bring together several countries in the region, including Japan and Cambodia, which co-chair this regional group, as well as most of the key agencies, to try to build partnerships to increase the flow of resources, as well as to exchange best practices on what works and what doesn't work, and then eventually to put forward a coherent approach for the Asia Pacific. And this seems to be the way forward to multiply the benefits that we could have, extending the work across different agencies.
And Ghazi, it's true, isn't it, that in Africa, really building on the regional dimension has been central to much of the work that the African Development Bank has been doing in the continent. Is that right?
Indeed. I would say that today's many problems cannot be solved at the national level. So building on the regional aspect is very crucial, mostly when you have landlocked countries which has some major problem to face. So the regional approach is definitely the key. I would say also another key maybe highlighted by the crisis is the cooperation between agencies. This is, I think, one of the main messages that I would like to convey today. 1 + 1 is more than 2. So what we have done so far is really trying to join our efforts because at the end of the day we have the same objective. So tapping into each other comparative advantage will help increase our efficiency and reach our goals in a timely manner.
And the time taken to put in place this Aid for Trade program, the monitoring, the review, the guidelines, that's been worth it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Your views?
Monitoring and evaluation are co-aspects to help us to learn the lessons from what works and doesn't work. In our own ADB experience, we find that big infrastructure projects are the mechanism to get big gains. But you need to do more than that. We now have to move into what we call soft infrastructure. Trade facilitation becomes key so that goods can move across borders efficiently. Trade finance is another aspect so that business gets the working capital it needs to export and to trade. And a third aspect is ensuring that we can meet standards in overseas markets and can upgrade competitiveness through supply chain development. All of these are vital, and monitoring and evaluation help us identify some of these aspects.
Ghazi, your final thoughts?
My final thought is that in any case we should be proactive. We should be constantly monitoring the crisis and its effects and very close to African countries. I think that today, although the bank has done a lot in infrastructure and agriculture, we should be ready to answer the demand stemming from African countries, be it at the national level, at the regional level, at the level of regional economic communities. So there is a commitment from our side to have a constant monitoring of the crisis and its effects, being financial crisis, economic crisis, food crisis, and try to use our resources, and as I said, also the partnership with other agencies to respond in a timely manner. This is, I think, our key message today.
Ganeshan, you have the last word.
Essentially, aid for trade as part of a coherent development approach towards outward-oriented growth can work, but we need to have at least 3 elements that help us to take things forward. The first is a focused regional approach to supplement national strategy. A second key element is infrastructure plus, with trade facilitation, trade finance, and a number of measures to boost competitiveness. And a third key element would be coordination, coherence, and monitoring. These are the ingredients, I think, of success and of long-term sustainability. And if we work together, we can make it happen.
Ganeshan Wignaraja, Ghazi Ben Ahmed, many thanks to both of you gentlemen for being with us. And thanks to you for watching WTO Forum.